In this practice, you will add geometric and dimensional constraints to objects in the block editor. You will modify dimension parameters and create user parameters, assigning values and formulas. You will test the block and flex the parameters to test how it works. Finally, you will create a block table with the sizes so that the blocks can only be modified by size. Open the bookcase drawing. Double-click on the bookcase geometry to open the Edit Block Definition dialog box, which indicates that the block name bookcase-elevation. In the Edit Block Definition dialog box, click OK. The bookcase-elevation block objects open in the block editor environment, with the block editor contextual tab and the block authoring palettes displayed. In the block editor contextual tab, geometric panel, click the arrow to open the constraint setting dialog box. In the auto constraint tab of the dialog box, verify that all the constraint types, except equal, are set to apply. Close the dialog box. In the block editor contextual tab, geometric panel, click auto constraint. Select all of the objects in the drawing and press enter. The parameters displays. Review where the parameters are placed. They include horizontal, perpendicular, parallel, and collinear constraints. In the block editor conceptual tab, geometric panel, click Fix. Place a point at the lower left corner of the bookcase elevation. In the block editor contextual tab, geometric panel, click Hide All to toggle off the geometric constraint display. In the block editor contextual tab, dimension panel, click Linear and add 2 linear dimensions to the overall top and side. When adding the dimensions, select the top left outer corner first, and then either the bottom left outer corner for the side or the top right outer corner for the top. Press Enter to accept all of the defaults. In the Open Save panel, click Test Block. Use the grips to resize the block. Only the outside rectangular moves. The inside objects are not yet connected. Undo any changes. Close the Test Block window drawing by clicking the X in the File tab bars. This returns you to the drawing in the block editor. In the Manage panel, click the Parameters Manager to open up the Parameters Manager. Change the name to the horizontal parameter to the width and the vertical parameter to height. In the Parameters Manager, click Create a new user parameter 3 times to add the user parameter with expressions. After adding 3 new user parameters, modify them by double-clicking in the 3 name columns. Enter the names first for all 3 and then edit the values in the expression column. In the block editor, zoom in to the top of the bookcase and the 3 shelves. Add a linear constraints between the top of the bookcase and the center line of the first shelf. Press Enter to accept the default name and distance. Add 2 more linear constraints, D2 and D3, between the center lines of the 3 bookshelves. Accept the default names and distance. Add a linear constraint between the center line of the bottom shelf and the bottom end of the bookcase. Once you click the Place Constraints, an alert box opens, prompting you that adding this constraint parameters would overconstrain the geometry. Click Close. The constraint is not placed. Zoom in on the shelf intersection along the right side of the bookcase. Add two linear constraints using the default name and distance. This constrains the shelf's geometry to the center line of the shelf. Repeat with the other two shelves. In the Parameter Manager, change the name of the three shelves center line location parameter D1, D2, D3 to Shelf 1, Shelf 2, and Shelf 3. For each of them, set the expressions to shelf_height. As you do this, the shelf value changes and they move into place. The shelf's thickness also moves because they are constrained to the shelf center line. In the Open Save panel, click Test Block. Use the grips to modify the height and the width of the bookcase. The shelves moves correctly, but some constraints are missing. Undo any changes and close the Test Block window. Linear constraints are missing for the thickness of the wood around the outer edge of the bookshelf. Add three constraints near the bottom left side wall thickness, right side wall thickness, and one bottom wall thickness. Add one more constraint to the top horizontal wall thickness of the bookshelf. Test the block again. This time, everything should move correctly. Undo any changes and close the test window to return to the Block Editor Contextual tab. In the Parameters Manager, change all the main bookshelf wall expressions to thickness and all the shelves expression to half underscore thick. Also, for the top and bottom wall edge thickness, change the expression to thickness. This enables you to change the thickness of the wood that you used in the bookcase and have all of the related items updated. Test the parameters in the Use Parameters list by changing the expression of the thickness parameter to 1/2. Verify that everything moves correctly. Change it back to 5/8 and check again. Test the height and width parameters using several different sizes, and with the height of 60 and the width of 30. In the Block Editor Contextual tab, Manage Panel, click Construction Geometry. Select each of the 3 shelf center lines. Press Enter to end the selection set and enter again to convert them into the construction geometry. In most cases, an object such as a bookcase is available in specific sizes. Creating a block table creates a list of sizes that can be used when inserting and manipulating the block. In the Dimension panel, click Block Table. Select the parameter location near the lower left corner of the bookcase and set it to display 1 grit. In the Block Properties table dialog box, click Add Properties to add the existing parameters to the table. Select both width and height. Hold Ctrl to select both. Click OK. The dialog box updates. To add a new parameter, click Add Parameters. In the New Parameters dialog box, set the following: name, size, value, 30 by 60, type, string. Click OK. In the Block Properties table dialog box, drag the size column to the beginning before width and height. Fill out the table with the following sizes. Click Audit to audit the Block Properties table. If the table contains any errors, the audit can fix them. If the table does not contain any errors, click Close and OK. Save the block and close the block editor. Test the block editor in the drawing. Insert several copies of the block and set them to different sizes.